Grand rising, grand arrival, grand return. Peace and blessings to the righteous and the repentant alike. I am Chief Sophia of the Americana Band of Indians, and this is Don't Miss It, our headline news roundup. Where we just go through the headlines for the week and without too much commentary because we have a podcast where we go through each week in a little bit more detail and I can elaborate on some of the stories. And that's over on our YouTube channel where we have three podcasts a week, one for the first half of the week, one for the second half of the week, and then one for executive actions. This is just headline news, so I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible without too much editorializing, although that's quite difficult. So, this is the week of March the 24th, 2025 through March 30th, 2025. So, Monday, March 4th, 2025. Of course, this is a Proverbs 4 day. The Trump admin is importing eggs from Brazil. That's what's helping to cause the crash in egg prices, which we'll talk about later in the week. Consumer discretionary guidance is negative. Um, I don't know exactly what that means. Someone swatted investigating USAID. So someone who was investigating USAID in Egypt was actually swatted here in America, which is interesting. Eshel is on the timeline. If you don't know who Eshel is, she is a Mayan goddess, and she's really the full moon of March. May goddess. She's a flower goddess. Okay, that's the flower moon, the full moon in May. Okay. OKLO applies for nuclear power in Aurora, Colorado, so diversifying our power grid. There's a Greek independence ceremony in the White House. Archbishop gives the Trump the cross and refers to him as Constantine the Great, which is probably a good sign. U.S. has been paying for Danish defense. Video resurfaces of Obama saying Trump has no way to return manufacturing to America, which we now know is not true. Or he did return it. He is returning it, okay? Lutnick makes a deal between Boeing and Korean Air, which is worth $32 billion. Kristi Noem says that FEMA is going to be eliminated. The Atlantic and this guy Goldberg basically start this signal witch hunt, which is some kind of a scandal because somebody was using Signal and he gets into the group. And anyway, it's a witch hunt, okay? Juju Watkins is injured in a basketball game. This comes right after she was seen sitting with Jaden Daniels, and then Jaden Daniels' mother comes and breaks them up as if he's not allowed as 25 to have a conversation with a young lady. So yeah, that was really, really horrific, and of course we're praying for the sister. All right. There's a strange spiral seen over Russia and Ukraine, and that's the portal of peace closing. All right. A new camp called Camp Legacy in California is open for Black teens and youth. The Oakland mayor, Sheng Tao, faces 95 years in jail for corruption. Okay, very corrupt person. Patriarch Bartholomew says Orthodox and Catholic reunion is inevitable. That should be a huge story. All right, March the 25th, Tuesday, 2025. This is a Proverbs 5 day. Video starts to surface of I Show Speed, who is a streamer in China. The gray are uncovered, which could be these gray aliens or whatever. But it's a set of Greek triplets. Doechii becomes the female rapper with the most monthly listeners. Tulsi and Ratcliffe are already scheduled to testify in Congress, and they're asked very heavily of this Signal conspiracy that's going on. Illegals can't get public housing anymore. Elon's trans son is on Teen Vogue. And that is what motivates him above all else, and nobody seems to understand that. Black leaders in Sparta, Georgia, are leaving black landowners on their own without support, but they do have the support of this white man in their legislature down there because they're trying to seize land under eminent domain, and the black leaders aren't saying anything about that. U.S. intelligence doubts Ukraine or Russia is ready to end the war. NASA confirms Trump um, involvement in astronauts' return. 4 B-2s are in the Indian Ocean. It's called Diego Garcia. I don't know if that's important or not yet. Civil Rights March is announced on Passover, which is April the 5th. East Plano Islamic Center, it's called EPIC, in Texas, is under review by the Attorney General Paxton. Joe Collins, who is suing Maxine Waters in court, has received himself a court order to keep the deposition that Maxine Waters was forced to do private. Bhattacharya is named as the NIH director. Trump issues an executive order to safeguard elections. HHS releases a tool to search for contaminants in food. Waltz hits at signal issue intentional sabotage, meaning he says that maybe they were trying to source out their own, if they had any leaks. All right. And Harry Sisson is dropped by a DNC PR company because he is a freak. Okay. All right. Wednesday, March 26, 2025. It's a Proverbs 6 day. All right. Pilot and 2 girls survive Alaska plane crash. The Atlantic publishes the full signal chat. HHS bars illegals from FHA mortgages. Canada buys tariff billboards. I even saw one of those here in Jacksonville telling people that tariffs are taxes, which is not true. The Trump TikTok deal is rolling along. They say that it'll be coming soon. All right. NFL bans the slime celebration, which is the dislike that to do with the whole, what's that guy's name? The one who just got out. I don't remember. One of these rappers in Atlanta, okay? They banned it altogether. All right. Stephen A says he would have swung on LeBron, which is pretty ridiculous. All right. Video of Marvin Sapp extorting the church goes viral. He tells the ushers to lock the doors until he gets $40,000 from the people inside the church. All right. Bill and Melinda Gates complain about losing money, say that they can't continue their, whatever you call it, philanthropy if they don't get USAID funding. Chet Williams of the Ohio Players unfortunately passes away. It's the 1-year anniversary of the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse, and there is absolutely no progress towards removing the debris or actually rebuilding the bridge. 0 progress in a year. All right. Gilbilly Studio memes go wild. So Gilbilly is like a manga, I think, and the memes are just like all over the place. German auto manufacturing in Mexico is basically going to be wiped out with the Trump auto tariff EO, because the German auto manufacturers have 0 manufacturing capacity in America. 0. All of it is in Mexico. 4 Texas sheriff deputies commit suicide in 6 weeks. Some people are saying it's suspicious. A street in West Philadelphia is named after Will Smith. Women's History Month celebration at the White House. And a child slips through the fence at White House and is safely returned to his parents. All right, that's a vibe shift for real. All right, March 27th, 2025. This is Thursday, and this is Proverbs 7 day. MS-13 leader in Woodbridge is arrested. Kesha announces a new album for 4th of July, which I'm really looking forward to. I love Kesha. Zay Dante drops an album. He's a TikToker who's I think he's funny. His music's pretty good. All right. Trump defunds the World Trade Organization. Arkansas makes ivermectin over the counter. Um, I'm not going to comment on that. Trump executive order to make DC safe, which is good. Rental car stocks soar on tariffs because now they have all this inventory with these foreign cars that they can potentially sell. Putin suggests temporary regime change in Ukraine so that they can have a vote. Texas developer fraud. He has been selling homes to illegals with FHA loans and all that stuff. Okay. Remains of a woman and a car from a 1983 missing persons report in Illinois is found. DOJ is investigating California gun laws. U.S. toy makers experience a boost from tariffs because now all the toys coming from other countries are going to be tariffed. Doge does an interview on Brett Baer, which I highly recommend you guys go look at. Vegas Tesla terrorist is arrested. Elise Stefanik will remain in Congress. HHS is streamlining, and I put HHH, and 20,000 individuals are let go. Trump hosts iftar, which is the Islam nightly dinner that they have during Ramadan celebration. Trump resistance is exactly 300 people / organizations with paid protesters. It's literally 300 people. Carney announces relationship with the U.S. is over, and Carney is the Prime Minister of acting Prime Minister of Canada. Oh, I put it on here twice. Sage X, he's a TikToker. He does a skit called "The Sun Up Town," which goes viral. And Angel Reese is seen at the NCAA tournament supporting her brother Julian, who plays for Maryland. She herself also played for the University of Maryland before she transferred to Louisiana. All right, so March 28th, 2025. This is Friday. This is a Proverbs 8 day. Tanner Adele drops the video for Going Blonde. CDC sub-agencies CDC creates a sub-agency for vaccine injuries. There's a 7.7 earthquake in Myanmar, and a lot of holy sites are destroyed. I want to also note that the Schumann resonance did not spike over the earthquake, which seems unusual to me. Zelensky says Ukraine won't recognize the U.S. military money that we've gave them as loans. West Virginia becomes the first state to ban food dyes in school. U.S. suspends Romania from visa waiver because of what they're doing. King Charles is hospitalized. I released the Hebrew Israelite feast calendar. USAID ends, and right-leaning media outlets crash, which people are starting to notice. Egg prices have crashed under $3, which I mentioned earlier in the week. Video of Trump looking extremely skinny. I want to know what Bobby is telling him to do. DHS revokes the status of 530 migrants, which they were under some provisionary status. They just revoked it. Canada has 300 people surveying 5,000 miles of our northern border. That is why the numbers of fentanyl coming out of Canada don't match what we're seeing on the streets, okay, for Canada. All right. Illegals were getting FHA loans when Americans didn't qualify. That's a huge scandal. People are pretty upset. XAI buys X in an all-stock deal. Elon announces that on X, okay? Raven Simone is seen with a skull with a crown and a crow with a crown necklace at the GLAAD Awards or something, and I point that out because it's really interesting. The LA Mayor Bass ignores a fire meeting to talk about going to visit a nursing home while she's in Ghana, so this is a huge scandal. NASA picked Jared Isaacman is an entrepreneur who basically learned how to fly planes at 18, started building his own planes, and has been contracting with the Defense Department as an independent person. More video comes out of the streamer Ice Show Speed in China, which is fantastic. French create a sport called disco soccer, which is exactly what it sounds like. The Skadden law firm pledges $100 million in pro bono cases to avoid being put on the blacklist. Well, not the blacklist. It's to avoid having their security clearances taken away. All right. In an ATL, Young Scooter, who is a rapper, he passes away from running from the police. He has an injury in his femur and he bleeds out. It's really horrific. Okay. But it was an injury. It was not a police shooting. Dr. Peter, the FDA vaccine official, is pushed out, removed from office is a better way. There's this whole U.S. farm credit scandal that's brewing. We might talk about that in a longer podcast. Packaged food companies are worried about people wanting to eat healthy. Rubio visits Jamaica, Guyana, and Suriname. El Salvador Bukele is going to visit the White House in April or May. Waves from Myanmar earthquake hit all of Europe. I actually make my own crown and sword necklace. I can't see it. With my little gnomes on it. So I see Raven Simone wearing this. But before I saw that, I had made my own. So I just thought it was very interesting that crowns, swords, that kind of stuff is coming into the atmosphere. Okay. But mine is based on the Christian Science logo. I should point that out. All right. So Saturday, March the 29th, 2025. This is a Proverbs 9 day. This is also a solar new moon eclipse day. And the new moon eclipse can be seen over the UK. All right. I make a video warning the black ETs, which I have since rescinded. You can see that over on my my YouTube channel. RFK Jr. blackmail news is in the indie media. It hasn't come to mainstream yet, so I don't know exactly what the blackmail is because I'm not digging into it. I'm not listening to Candace Owens to find out what she says the blackmail is when I know she is a British agent married to British monarchy. I don't care what she has to say, all right? Kevin Gates is the one who reverted Brittany Renner to Islam, and Brittany Renner was some kind of a prostitute. I don't know. Anyway, joy and patriotism is what motivates the Trump cabinet. There's a shivering weather front, which I'm going to discuss on my spiritual channel. I'm not going into what that even means. All right. Vehicle in the Putin motorcade is blown up. Trump plays golf with the Finland prime minister and they come to some kind of agreement. Physics knows astrology is real. So they know you have to use astrology with everything, okay? They have ice piñatas in California, which is horrific. And there's a white spiral portal that opens over Alaska. All right, so Sunday, March the 30th, 2025. This is a Proverbs 10 day. Death investigation near Tunisian embassy. Kalashi files lawsuit against Nevada and New Jersey for prediction markets. 5.8 earthquake hits Tonga. Imports are only 15% of our GDP, and 85% of our GDP is domestic purchases, okay? Keep that in mind when they talk about the tariffs. This lady, Slavana Lakova, returns to X based on the Trump EO. She was one of the quote-unquote investigators of the whole Russiagate thing, and since all that stuff's about to be declassified, here she comes back on the timeline, which is, anyway, Zelensky is buying time for Europe to get money together to keep funding the war. That's what his back and forth is about. They have a Table Rock fire burning in South Carolina, which is only 9% contained and is inching into North Carolina. This is the anniversary of the death of Rudolf Steiner. He died at 64, and basically, he stole everything that he knows from PBR. There's this thing, hung astrology, that hits X. I'm not going into details. Canada and Carney actually have a relationship with Stripe and X. X uses Stripe to process payments, and so this is like seen as a huge conflict of interest. Okay. Um, I personally witnessed a boomer crash out at the park, which is crazy. And I also say that it's going to take $5 million to reset my nervous system, and I stand by that. And everyone has to have an amount, an inventory. How much is it going to cost to get your nervous system reset? You should really be thinking about that. All right, Neptune has moved into Aries, and it causes lots of people to have headaches on Sunday. Altogether, now there are 6 B-2 bombers sent to Diego Garcia. Um, a German space rocket is turned around mid-air, literally looks like a hand, turns it around and sends it back down. Like it's not allowed to launch. All right. Waltz says someone changed the number in Signal where he added the person to the group and it was a different name on the person. And then when he added the person, this guy Goldberg shows up. Okay. U.S. bank executive dies in a car crash. Um, Kanye West dressed in grand wizard costume in academics interview. I didn't even do no digging into that. Okay. Canada owns Dominion voting systems, and so this is now a national security issue. Always has been, but now it's really the voting machines are owned by Canada, who has just said they don't have a relationship with the United States anymore. So it's a huge problem. Musk holds a town hall in Wisconsin and basically spills the beans that illegals have been given social security numbers, social security, disability, and voted. 5.5 million illegals voted in the election, and they have all the information on these individuals. So that's our wrap up for March 24th through 30th, 2025. If you enjoy this type of content, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Thank you so much for joining us here, and we will see you in next week's Headline News Update.